Welcome to another vlog all, and as you can see we are going to be working on electronics on this vlog, or specifically housings for electronics. This one is for the Scubaboo board, which is a 4-button prop controller. Great for doing pneumatics, sliding, running sets, any type of animated prop, and so on. And I should mention before we get going, if anyone ends up being or is interested in getting one of these controllers, they run around $74, $75, which is a lot better than Fright Prop's Boo board. Their Boo board is only a 2-channel. This is a 4-channel. You can contact Tim Thompson on Facebook, or you can reach him through Scubaboo1. Both Tim posted some videos up on how to program these and everything, but there have been no videos on what to do with them. Yes, or not, I should say how to house them. When you originally get the board, Tim sends it to you in a box like this. It's one of those, you know, if it fits, it ships priority mail boxes. When you empty out the box, you end up with a Scubaboo board, and you get a pigtail for your power, your sensor, MP3 player, and a bridge. And we'll get that because the little orange thing there is a bridge. You can use that in lieu of the sensor if you just want the board to trip automatically without having to use a sensor. And then something new for this year, they give you an extension board for programming it. The board itself has a series of buttons on it that you can program it to make the switches trigger at in whatever order you want. The problem is half the time these boards are mounted right near the prop, and you have to crawl underneath the prop to do it. So they came up with this board here, and you can get a Cat 5 cable, and you plug it into this board, plug it into that board, and you can stand up to 6 feet away from the prop, you know, and program it, which makes it nice. The problem, and what I'm going to end up doing, is when you get these boards out of the box, they're made to work. They work right off the bat. You just plug them in and program them, and they work. If you've got an outdoor haunt, on the other hand, these boards are going to be outside, and you don't want these things exposed to water. They will blow up if you get them wet. You know, and they don't like being stepped on and everything else, so they need a housing on them. So what I did was I ended up making my own container for the Scubaboo board, and it's all self-contained. Boards inside. I've got a jack on the outside for the power. I've got 3 of the stereo speaker jacks on this side to run all 4, and it's a double jack, so in other words 4 push buttons for hooking up to the relays in the box. And then on this side I added a 10-watt amplifier, and also another 4 button speaker jack, so I can attach speakers to the box. And then on this side, I ended up putting this up here. It's a 3-button terminal for attaching the sensor. And the fun part is getting in here, and as you can see the Scubaboo board, the wires for the sensor, the wires for the speaker, the 10-watt amplifier, and the relay things, is getting it all set up in the board. And no one's done a vlog on how to do a housing with these. So that's what we're going to do in this vlog, is I'm going to show you how I go about to get these secure and watertight. It's basically a matter of getting your marking where you want everything at, putting the holes in, and I'm sealing the holes up with just hot glue. So, but let's go through the process of doing one of these. Now that we got all that out of the way, it's time to get to work. Let's run through some of the parts, or the parts you'll need to complete the Scubaboo board in a box. First thing is a container. Now since I went and got and I'm adding on this little 10-watt amplifier here, I wanted a little bit bigger box. I wanted to make sure we had room in the box to hold both the Scubaboo board and the 10-watt amplifier. So I went with a little bit bigger container than normal. It's 7 inches across by 11 inches long and about 3 inches deep. Okay, that will give me plenty of room for the amplifier as well as the Scubaboo board. Now I should mention the Scubaboo board with the MP3 player gives out nice sound. It wasn't as loud as I wanted, so I went and I'm adding that 10-watt amplifier to beef up the sound. And you can make things vibrate with that little thing, surprisingly enough. But anyway, so we got the case. Another thing you're going to need, and this is for the 10-watt amplifier, it's a male jack, like off of a wall wart, and you're going to use this to get power to the amplifier. Then I've gotten some of these here. It's a 3-prong connector, and that's going to be for the sensor on the thing. And then I bought some of these little pigtails, and these are used to connect the MP3 player to the amplifier. And then of course got the amplifier, and then I have a whole bunch of these stereo jacks which are going outside. I'm going to be using them for my quick release, and those are the main parts. And then I've got some hosing here. It's a 1/4 inch irrigation hosing. I'm going to be cutting this down to use as spacers. You're going to need some wire, some nuts and bolts, and then these here, this is going to be my housing for the sensor. You attach your sensor in there and then put it in here like that, and it's a watertight fitting. That way your sensor doesn't get wet. Now as far as tools go, you're going to need to start off with, you'll need some mini screwdrivers, a wrench, either a pair of pliers, a crescent wrench, socket wrench, you know, whatever works, a pair of nippers, your hot glue gun, soldering iron over here, and then some wire strippers, which are over here. There, we'll get you a better look there. Sorry for the wonky camera angle. And then either some electrical tape or liquid electrical tape. And I'm going to be trying the liquid electrical tape this time. Oh, and I should also mention you're going to need a Sharpie. Now, as far as all the parts and stuff that I was showing you, you can get everything except for the hosing, or I should say I got everything except for the hosing, the plumbing fittings, and the nuts and bolts off of eBay. All the parts all together, you know, it cost you about 15 bucks, under 15 bucks. Oh, and the containers were from Walmart. They were like $2 each. So it's a fairly inexpensive way. Now I bought 4 containers. I got 3 more here. I've actually got 4 of these boards I need to put into containers. Okay, I don't need the sensor at the moment, so we'll set that off to the side. And I'm going to get a little screwdriver off, and I'm going to take my power tap off the board for the moment, because I'm working just on the board. Well, we got all the holes cleaned up, so now it's time to get the Scubaboo board and the amplifier mounted. Alright, now what we're going to end up doing here is I got to get a screw in there, and the hole's slightly small, which is fine. Makes a better watertight seal if it is. Okay, there's one screw in. second screw in. You should be able to push them all in with your finger. That first one there had a little extra buildup on it. I didn't get it all the way off. I'm not overly worried about it. There. Now that's my mounting post for the board. Now if I just go and put this on the screws as is, it's just going to end up sitting on the bottom of the box, and I don't want to do that. I want it up off the bottom of the box just in case some moisture does get in there. This thing doesn't end up taking a bath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this hosing, and let's see, I'm doing a rough measurement, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. It does not have to be exact. So I want to go down to about there. And then it's just a matter of cutting off the rings. And I'm going to need 4 of these. And the size that you use depends on the size of the screws you use. And now that I've got, in fact I actually should test it. Yeah, that's about right. If you can see in there, I've got the tubing over the screw. Now when I put the board on it, the board will sit on top of that tubing. I need to cut 3 more of those. I got all 4 screws in with their plastic housing. Now the fun part. Like I said, there's 4 holes, 1 in each corner. I gotta line those holes up with all 4 of the screws to get this thing mounted. So instead of just pushing onto the screws like I had intended them to do, I gotta work them in a little bit. So I'm just sitting here holding it into place and turning the screw, and it's threading its way right over the boards, which is just fine. It's not hurting the boards at all. Okay, now I could just leave it like that, but over time and heat and everything else, things do loosen. So I want to make sure I get a nut on each one of those screws. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to over tighten these nuts. If you do, you will crack the board, and if you crack the board, it could mess up the board. And the last thing you want to do is mess up a board. These things are 74 bucks a pop. You just don't want to have to throw them in the trash after spending all that money. There we go. We got the Scubaboo board into the container. Next thing is the amplifier. Now on the amplifier, connections on the amplifier, you have your sound from the MP3 board, your power, and then these 2 are the speakers. And then you got a nut over here on the volume control. Here. Take that nut off. And the little washer that's with it. Take your amplifier and just put it through the hole like that. Put the washer on it, and then put the nut back on and thread it on. And that's basically what's going to be holding the amplifier into place. There's no need to do the screw and post method like I just did for the Scubaboo board itself. This little thing, it does not weigh hardly anything, and you do have to be careful when plugging your wires and stuff into it. And I'm going to tighten that down just a little bit. You don't want to tighten it too much and strip it. And I'm checking the knob here to make sure the knob's working. Okay, we've got that in. Now we start with the fun part. We got to start making all our connections. Put all the stuff in on the outside, getting them wired, making connections to the Scubaboo board, from the Scubaboo board to the amplifier and what have you. And this is the fun part. Now the first piece I'm going to make connection with is my power. How I get power to the board itself. Now the wall wart that comes with the boards is plenty strong enough to run both the Scubaboo board and the amplifier. But I need to get this mounted first, and I'll cover how I'm going to do the power for the amplifier. Sorry, trying to concentrate here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I've got the power jack partially out, and just back a little bit from where it's going to end up sitting on the container. I'm putting a big glob, or not a big glob, but some hot glue around it. Push it in, hold it for a little bit to let the hot glue set up, and that's mounted. Okay, now that's mounted, I've got to do a little electrical wiring, and I'm going to need several different lengths of wire. And I think what I'm going to do first is I got a piece of scrap wire that I had. I'm going to bare the ends of this. I'm just basically stripping the housing off the wiring. And I'm actually making the lead that's going to the amplifier right now. Okay. Plus on this side. And I've got my little terminal out. I'm getting the screws back off and get the wire attached. Insert the wire into the positive side. Tighten down the screw. That one, I cut the housing off a bit long too, and I want a hair shorter. My big hands, these parts are so dang small. I have a heck of a time working with them. I'm all thumbs, which is not good when you're working on electronics. You do not want to be all thumbs. Now, I went and attached a wire to that piece, and I need to get measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in where it belongs, right there. Trying to get a measurement here. I need to do a fancy style of pigtail. Unplug that. I've got the female end done and the male end done. The wires are stripped. Yeah. Let's see. Helps if I get them on camera. And I'm dealing with a really weird camera angle here, people, so I apologize if things are coming out weird.